What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expivia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expivia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expiviausa.com for more. One of the other things too that I think is really cool, and I'm debating right now. I know I just said I was going to be at Call Center Week, and I think I'm going to be, but NFT New York is at the same exact time. And looking at what they're trying to do, there was very little on the customer service side again of supporting NFT projects. So I haven't spoken too much about Expivia Digital other than that we're working on it. Yesterday, we now have full API integrations into Discord, so we can talk back and forth. So now we're trying to make it cool, right? And that's the aspect of this. The technology is not very difficult to get connectivity. The technology is extremely difficult when you're talking about the user experience, the customer experience, making sure that it is as seamless really as it is now, or try to make it even a little bit better than it is now. So that's kind of been really, getting me fired up for what we're going to be. No CCW, huh, David? I know. I think it's going to get better too. And I know Mark Bernstein and I from Balto had a conversation on a podcast on kind of the state of, I just posted a couple of videos on that, kind of the state of the call center expo or show or sales, Call Center Week and ICMI. And, we also just did a big, and David, I know you were kind of a part of it too. We were talking, I believe yesterday, a lot of these things have turned into really expensive endeavors, right? All shows are really expensive, but for the turnout and what we're getting right now, when you got to pay $8,500 to $10,000 to speak at a show, I don't think you're really trying to drive value of content. You're just trying to drive a bottom line. So again, I'm no promises yet, but I would love to see, if we could pull off, and I don't think it would be that difficult, but to do like what we're doing right now, right? To get, this thing's less than 20, well, it's maybe a little bit over 24 hours that LinkedIn post was live, and it's got about 5,000 views already, right? So there's so much interest in it that I think we could get, 20 to 30 call center professionals, contact center, CX, technology, try to hit as many topics as we possibly can and do just a free online, 2-day kind of seminar, online conference, that kind of thing. And just try to grow it. I don't know. We could maybe do something in a couple of years where we're in maybe a secondary market, trying to keep prices down, try to keep that thing, under $500 to come join. Anybody that wants to speak will have enough speaking time for everybody. As long as, you submit and you can add value. I think it could be something cool, but I also did a big post for ICMI, who has a conference in October. And, I was lucky enough to be named like a top 25 thought leader for ICMI for 2022. And the list of people on that list is crazy. And so I just said, ICMI, let's get all 25. I'm sure most everybody would show up, and let's do a whole track of everybody gets a half hour, 45 minutes. Let's do panels. Let's do AMAs. If anybody has really anything important to say, I think that would drive a ton of traffic because the names there are kind of CX influencers, right? So they haven't, I don't think they like the idea. They've not responded at all. And especially, that had a ton of people that were commenting on, and that kind of went, I don't want to say viral. I don't know what viral means anymore, but was a heavier viewed post for sure. All right, Dave, you got a question here? Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You're talking about yeah, I agree. Right. So, for the show, right, with the tech available, it would be very, I mean, I use StreamYard, which is a really, really cool, this kind of platform that we're on. So I can upload any podcasts. I can upload videos. I can upload PowerPoints, right? So, each and every single one of these we could do just this easy, right? And it's kind of totally free. And then everybody would have a ton of content as well. The more I talk about it and the more like people like you kind of poke me at it, I think it's something that we definitely could do. And to be honest, probably should do. And I think it's important that we have a lot of voices that aren't heard in the industry. And when you're paying $8,500 to 10 grand, those voices are never going to be heard. So I think it's important, again, to get some of those. I gave the example of you're running a 35-seat call center, and I think I said Lincoln, Nebraska, but say it's like in Dubuque or for Erie, Pennsylvania, right? But you're doing some amazing things when it comes to WFM, when it comes to how you're engaging your associates. Your voice is never going to be heard. You're never going to, even maybe make it to that show. But, if we have some type of outreach where we can do that, I think it could be really cool, bring more people in. And then, again, my whole goal here has been to add value and to create a community of like-minded contact center individuals, right? Whether I'm trying to do it on the LinkedIn tips and tactics, whether it's just followers of me, followers of the podcast, but there needs to be a way for us to get together to help each other outside of paying thousands of dollars to go listen to people talk that have already paid to talk, right? I don't know. So yeah. And Michael McGuire from Noble Biz, who's just a stud too, and an amazing content creator. I've been listening to a ton of your stuff, does a really good job. Right? Not only being a voice of Noble Biz, but also adding value to the industry, right? So, you have, I'm sure, a really big Rolodex. I use Rolodex now, and I was on a podcast the other night, and people are like, what's a Rolodex? Or they had to explain what a Rolodex was. So you have a big LinkedIn following. How about that? That we could get some really good people. You use StreamYard as well too. Yeah. It's pretty easy. Like I didn't want anything that I needed to do a ton of work with, but I appreciate you just hopping on, saying hi, and I appreciate what you're doing and all the content. And anybody, you guys got to make sure that you follow him too. It's some really good stuff. And then we got a lot of people in chat that are saying hi, and that's cool. Like hearing everybody and talking to everybody. So, yeah, again. This is really what this is. This is all it is, right? It's me being here for an hour. I will just pontificate on things. If you guys don't have any questions, most episodes will get 6 to 10 questions if that need to be thrown in. Again, I said I did a poor job marketing this, so this actual episode focus really on the 3 o'clock. For those of you not here, coming back on at 3 o'clock to do a really cool podcast with Level AI. So make sure you kind of check that out as well. I like Fridays. For me, they're a little bit more laid back from the business aspect of this, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are super busy from my business, and then it kind of rolls down. As I was saying though, a couple of minutes ago, so maybe going to Call Center Week, forgot that NFT New York is the same exact days, the 20th through the 23rd. When I was looking at all of the tracks that they had very little again on the customer service aspect. There was one small thing that was on community management. So again, I think that this is something that we as an industry, and I know there's a lot of outsourcers that are listening to this and will listen to this in videos that we'll post. This is something that we need to look, and people are going to say, Tom, you shouldn't say that, keep it for yourself. I think that there's enough to go around here where this isn't just me, but this is an overall industry thing that I think we need to look at, right? So there are so many of these multi-million, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million NFT projects that are coming out, and they have no idea really what to do on the service aspect. So I am super excited again, what we're doing. with Expivia Digital, what the R&D is looking like it could do. The people and again, I'm not plubbing anybody, but at Nice CX1 have been pretty awesome as well. They really don't have any customers that have full integrations into Discord, so we're one of the first ones there. And hopefully we're able to make a change where not only we can help service those communities better, but we can make them more secure. That's been a huge issue with NFTs and Web3 in general, of people stealing things and hacking Discords and doing those types of things that kind of go against, I don't know, even kind of the vibe of that thing. So, hopefully we can make a little bit of an impact there too. And I see Hoop. Hoop is here. Hoop is saying jokes because I am in his CEO peer group, right? He is the the moderator of the group, the leader of the group. So yeah, I'm in a peer group with a bunch of CEOs here around Erie, which has been an amazing experience as well, which I would highly suggest you do, or at least to get around somebody in your industry or even outside of your industry, kind of on your level where you can kind of bounce some things off. Very cool. All right. Let's see here. Let's see what else we want to talk about. Let's go into I think one of the other things this week that a lot of you got involved with me in as well was we were talking about the concept of wowing customers, of creating these raving fans, right? Of having customer experiences that are, I guess, so far in the positive that people, I don't know, they're like in tears when they come off the phone. Right? Is that kind of what it is? So I'm skeptical of anything that people say should be done, but really doesn't need to be done, or they're just overstating the impact, right? So, for me, wowing a customer is adding a little bit more than competent, right? And that's competent for your industry, right? So we know, like, if you're in Disney, right, and you're handling those type of calls, or you're some type of concierge service, a 5-star, 6-star, 7-star resort, right? Your customer experience, because that's your mission, has to be world class, and there should be no question on the type of service you're getting. Now, but if you are a internet company or you're an airline and you're keeping people on hold for 45 minutes in queue, right? If you are a new airline and you do a 3-minute waiting in queue, I think that is way more impressive than the Disney experience, right? Because I'm going to come back to you every single time. You have a competitive advantage because you've done well. And for them, that was wowing the customer. So, people get so freaked out. People are buying books. People are spending so much money on consultants to get to that point. Now, we have to, as a BPO, and I have clients, I have to have exceptional customer experience, right? Industry doesn't matter for me, right? I'm going now against other BPOs, right? And this is our job, right? Our job is to provide a really good experience. But if you said to me, Tom, are you wowing every customer? And the answer is no. And you know what? If you say you are, you're all lying. We are giving a great experience, and then we're measuring that experience as well to kind of prove it, right? Sentiment, CSAT, NPS, KPIs that are showing how efficient we are as well, right? So providing those type of really solid, really good experiences and doing it over and over and over, repeating it, right? I think the consistency in service is when it's good is just as important as kind of wowing and bad, all right? Or having a good experience and then bad. And that's the hard part, right? I always kind of look at it like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird analogy, but like Budweiser beer. No matter where you drink a beer, no matter where they make it, it always tastes the same. it's like this amazing, thing. That's most beers, right? The consistency that they go through. And I think that's a big piece of the customer experience that we really don't talk about. All right. Got a couple questions. So Andres says, Thomas, I feel like there's a lot of nervousness around the general economy right now. What do you foresee changing or staying the same contactors with contact centers? So yeah, I totally agree. I think that you're going to see a little bit of a stall in new technology purchases, and you're going to see a huge upgrade in consultants and trying to kind of upgrade what you already have, right? So, taking the technology you have, most of us, and when we go to consult, 9 times out of 10, they're using probably 25 to 30% of their technology stack, especially when it comes to the actual call center, the running, how they're routing, how they're using the programming. And they're just tapping into just the very first part of everything that they can do. So again, I think you kind of saw this in 2020, right? When things were very difficult to actually purchase things, other than if you wanted to make sure that you had something from work from home. But no, I think that there will be more of a need to make sure that what you have is working, what you have is being used to its fullest, than to really go out right now because of all the uncertainty of making purchases. I am in a unique place as a BPO where every purchase I make, right, I can't just make a technology buy because I think it's cool, right? There has to be a help to a client and an ROI for me. It has to be both, right? It can't just be ROI for me because most of the time that's detrimental to the client. So it needs to help my clients and have an ROI case for me. So I think it is a nervous time. I don't know if it's scary, but it's a nervous time right now from a technology place. And I'm starting to kind of see a lot of those more questions on, hey, can you help us kind of utilize our stuff more than it is to, hey, can you go buy some more stuff? Good question. So this is a great question. So we just talked about consistency. So what am I doing to assure that consistency? Well, I think the number one thing that a lot of us don't do that we need to do is we need to benchmark our centers. And BPOs are a little bit harder, right? Because you're benchmarking each program, right? Everything is a little bit different, right? So I hold things twofold. Number one, I look at the efficiency pillar, and then I look at the customer experience pillar, right? You got to look at both. So what is the efficiency? That's your occupancy, your average speed of answer, your handle time. Are you staffed appropriately? Your after call work, all of those type of metrics that are kind of showing how efficient that you're running your contact center efficiently. So everything is benchmarked, right? So every client, right? We should have a average speed of answer of 10 seconds. Our handle time should be 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Our after call work should be 8 seconds. That's all benchmarked, right? That's one piece, right? So the efficiency we're trying to benchmark. Now the second piece, and this is relatively new for us, probably in the last 4 years, is we're using analytics to benchmark our quality, right? And how we're speaking to customers. So every single client as well, we're now gauging customer sentiment and we're gauging agent sentiment, right? So we know that if Susie, right, doesn't have proper tone, doesn't use words, the right word usage, if she's short with customers, if there's frustration, if there's a lot of hold time, we're measuring all that and kind of scoring it, right? So I think that's how you got to look at it, right? You have to use the tools that you have, right? Not just from an efficiency standpoint, but then start to get to the quality. Now, if you don't have speech analytics, use your QA, right? And we're using QA as well, right? So how are you scoring things, right? And making sure that you have that benchmarked and you know where everyone should be at. I would also say know where they're at from beginning to end, right? So if you have a rep that's only been on the phone for a week, right, you should know what score they should have as they're moving down the road, right, to get to, where everybody should be at. So really good question. I think that's one of the things that we do really well, right, because we're so analytical with where things should be at to make sure that we're giving an ROI to the customer, that we're being as efficient as we possibly can, and that the customer experience is where it's spot on. And any of this, right? We're trying to make sure we take out and train out, right? And trying to get it as quick as we possibly can with our metrics. All right. David. Okay, this is a great question. So employee engagement through Slack, Discord, Teams, whatever your IM tool is for your work from home. How active is too active? How dead is too dead? Well, let me put this in a couple ways. Number one, every supervisor that we have, we tell must put something in Slack every 15 minutes. Right. So they must interact with their team on some level every 15 minutes. And I'm not looking for war and peace. Right. It's hey guys, great job. Service levels at 82% last hour. Awesome. Right. And then that will spawn conversation with the reps. Anything that is negative, obviously we're not putting in there. We're doing a one-on-one. Anything that's positive on top of it, we're putting on there. So I would say I love more active. I don't too active for me is unless it gets off topic. Now we do have some things that we don't talk about. We don't talk about religion. We're not allowed to talk about politics, and you're not allowed to talk negatively against any employee or any person, right? Those are pretty much the three things that we draw the line on. It's also the supervisor's job to be the moderator of their team, right? So if they see something that's kind of going off course, make sure that they're kind of talking that through. But it's always up to the supervisor, right? If they see that their Slack channel is dead, right? Because that's like walking through your room when it's kind of dead, right? So it's their job to kind of engage and I think get that kind of rolling. Because if you see it's 5, 10, 15 minutes on a team of 16 to 20 and nothing's being said, then maybe you're slammed, right? You could have 25 calls in queue. And the reps don't have time to talk. Yeah, but for the most time, even if they're in the call center floor and they're slammed, they're always finding time to talk. So I think that's a really good gauge of engagement for the team and where they are. And I would say more is better than less. I think that's obvious. That's probably not giving you anything, huge there. All right. I've heard about measuring customer sentiment, but not agent sentiment. Is it common to measure agent sentiment or just something you are doing? No. I mean, most of the time they're both. It's either or, right? And so when most of the platforms you can choose, and normally it says client or agent. So it'll start with kind of doing both. And then I think it's stupid to do both, right? To make sure you're clicking your customer, your agent. And what we'll do is we'll benchmark our customer sentiment like we would do for NPS or CSAT. I prefer sentiment. I think it's better. So let's just say like we have a brand new client and they have 35% positive sentiment of their customers, right? Understanding that doesn't mean bad call center. That could mean just bad overall customer journey. We'll take the first 4 to 6 weeks, get as much data in there as we can from call volume and call data. And then through the analytics and the words and the keywords, we'll try to find out why, right? Do we have a huge issue with the website? Is there a problem with their Shopify account? Is there a problem with delivery taking too long, right? A lot of times everybody just thinks the call center stinks because the customers are ticked off when they don't realize customer experience. We're just one cog in the wheel. So that's been a huge impact on what we can give customers, right? And what we can tell our clients, right? And then what we do is we say, okay, let's try to work on some of this stuff. Let's see if we can get the website done. Let's see if we can, if you guys can fix some of this, delayed in shipping. And there's also a big call center issue with 3 reps that we're hearing too, right? So if we can fix that, we can start to take that 34% and the customer can see it just go up and up and up and up and up. And maybe it'll never get to 80%. That's where we'd like to see most things, 70 to 80%. That's kind of what we have benchmarked as a really positive customer experience. But if it goes to 50 or 60, we've almost doubled, right? The experiences that customers have had, and we've been able to show it and prove it. So analytics is a tool that is turning into a want to, I believe, kind of what is a must-have. All right, another question. new to the space. Can you help me understand sentiment versus NPS and CSAT? Sure. So just from a term standpoint, NPS is net promoter scoring and CSAT is customer satisfaction, right? So when it comes to NPS, you are basically asking the question. Now there's a couple nuanced ways to do this, but you're asking the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to refer or to say that the customer experience was good, that our product was good, right? And a customer will actually rate that, right? So you're looking, net promoters basically saying, what percentage of my customer base would actually go out in this social Web 2 world and talk about the experience that they had in a positive way, right? So that's NPS, and they're trying to come up with a measurement of that, which I think is pretty cool, right? Customer satisfaction is basically a survey for the most part. It's all that stuff that you kind of hear at the end of calls, right? And it's basically how satisfied was it? I don't really like CSAT as much, especially when you're doing it after calls, just because there's only two people or two types of people that really take those. It's the people who had an unbelievable, awesome experience, which basically means we could help them or give them a refund, right? And people that are super ticked. And that doesn't mean that the rep was bad. It means that maybe the business rules that we had would not allow them to get their refund, would not allow us to change their flight, those types of things, right? So it misses this big chunk in the middle, in my opinion, right? Where sentiment scores is basically using AI and using technology to quote unquote listen in to these conversations. And depending on the tool that you have, a lot of them is just looking at the words that a customer's using, if they're negative, if they're positive. And then some of them we're starting to move into this AI world where we're actually starting to listen to actual tone, right? And starting to try to understand the intent of words, right? Which is at 3:00, we're going to have a big conversation on this, just FYI. And scoring it, right? What was that? Was that a positive call for the customer? Was the customer positive, right? We can even rate things like at the beginning of the call, it was negative, and then it moved. I guess it moved to positive, right? Like we can rate those kind of things, which you could never do NPS and CSAT. And now we're starting to get into real time sentiment, where we can actually see on a screen how the call is going. Is the customer getting ticked? I guess it should go down, right? Or is the customer, is the experience going happy? So I love sentiment because it's looking at everything. I think next comes NPS and then CSAT for me. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but that's kind of how I would rank those three kind of scoring methods for customer experience. So yeah, I think that's that's my 30,000 foot view of kind of that stuff. But really good question. Really good question. And I think there's a big debate now in the industry of what is most important. People still love NPS and CSAT because they don't really understand sentiment. But when I'm able to show them and kind of, to hold their hand through what sentiment is, show them the dashboard, it opens a lot of eyes up to really what it is, to the power that it is. And it's a pretty cool tool, and it's evolving constantly and consistently. And again, not to plug this, but again, at 3:00, we're going to talk to the CEO of Level AI, who is in deep into analytics, and they're trying to do analytics in a couple different ways than just kind of word clouds. So again, if you're going to if you're on here now, maybe take a break or hop off at 2. Get an hour and then hop back on. If you cannot, it'll be a podcast episode. It'll be the next one. It'll be next Tuesday. But I'm really excited for it, and all of our pre kind of podcast talks, to make sure that we had questions right and that we're hitting all the right things. I'm excited to kind of hopefully me learn some things, and then hopefully everybody can learn some things as well. Yeah, there's a couple, like people asking for programs. Like we've kind of gone over this in a couple episodes. We can't do programs. I can't give you any type of outsourced projects. I'm looking for things myself. So if that's your question, I probably can't, probably not going to get to it. I'm just looking here. Okay. But no, hey, good questions, guys. I appreciate you guys kind of asking, and hopefully I can again, continue to give some insights into a lot of the stuff. It's a new world. It's pretty cool, right? The technology that we're starting to really see. And again, I'm not an AI denier. I just think it's overstated, where it is right now in the industry. I think that it is helping a lot, right? Analytics and workforce management and routing and workforce intelligence and those types of things. I think it's really important. And one of the questions that I'm going to ask, is where is AI going to be? I don't care about 30 years because I think we know that, the call centers we know it probably won't be here in 20 to 30 years with the technology. Could be before that, probably 10 years. But where's it going to be in the next 24 to 36 months? I think that's what people really care about. Right? You don't really care about a 10-year plan, but you care about 24 to 36 months. And so we're going to have that conversation, which I think should be pretty interesting as well. But yeah, so that's kind of my afternoon, guys. That's my afternoon. Again, if you have any other questions on anything, we've answered everything from obviously call center, contact center questions, technology questions, NFT, Web3. I think David asked you what my favorite food was one time. I've been asked what my favorite color is. So I got that. And then what are my thoughts on contact centers doing video customer service calls? I love it. I was talking about this 2012, 2013, and I was not in the right spot to do this, but I was marketing it when Expivia was super small. I thought this was going to be the next thing. So again, maybe people shouldn't listen to me on some of this blockchain stuff. But I think it's the next evolution, right? Of almost where Web 2 and social media and the interaction of people through social media platforms. And then we were talking to people, and then it's now evolving to FaceTime, what we've been all using, and instant messaging. And now people are so comfortable because of FaceTime, because of those types of things, that I think the video aspect is coming next. Now, I think there's some nuance to that. Again, when you go through a drive-through, again, I think I said it last time at my credit union, there's a person that does a video, and we're basically doing a video chat or a FaceTime because they're not really there. They're doing it through video. I think showing things, right? Like, hey, the wheel on my toy broke, and being able to show that I think is really important. But I do really like the idea. It just this can never be forced on a customer. This needs to be a customer initiated, kind of call every single time or video every single time. There's some other things too where, your rep should not go right onto video. They should answer the call, make sure that everything is appropriate with the customer, because there's going to be some weirdos. But once that happens, then they can initiate their chat or their video and have that. I've thought a lot about this. And I don't know, maybe if people are interested, I could do a podcast episode. I mean, we had a full almost marketing plan, business plan for this and all the things that we need to work on, and, specific backgrounds that we'd have for the reps that look like the brands that we were working for, green screens in the back that we could show, specific things. So interesting stuff. I'm for it. But I think there's some nuance to it. So the gig, or like using reps that are like Uber. Again, I think it's a coming, if not already here in some contact centers. It makes absolute total sense. I think it's specific for use cases for me, from what I've seen. Larger contact centers that are doing maybe short-term things. I think it's a huge deal. Seasonality, right? So seasonal work in the around the holidays, I think it's a huge deal. Smaller call centers, I don't know if there's that big of a need for it, but with the huge retailers, huge contact centers, huge BPOs, I think that there could be a really cool. And I know who's who's asking this question, even though it says LinkedIn user, he's a little biased because I believe you kind of run one. But no, I'm all for it. I think it's the next evolution again of where we are. And I think that the use cases, while maybe a little bit narrow, there's a definite need. And I've seen it, right? We struggle sometimes with, moving from 30 reps in the summer to 250 for retail. That I think from an overflow standpoint, that type of service could be a huge impact. So again, I'm pro it. I think it's a great idea. I think just the use cases are a little bit narrow. And then again, guys, I'm not even reading these. I'm just clicking them. So if they're weird questions, I apologize. We'd love to hear the podcast episode on video customer service. All right. There's a lot of reasons not to do it, a lot of reasons to do it, especially related to sentiment. I think you're probably right. I think that it's specific use cases as well. Right. So, again, I think from the hardcore customer service side, where it's like a retail, things are broken, you want to show things. I think there's a huge impact. If it's just you and I from a banking, I want to, check my balance and I don't want to use the IVR. I don't know the great feel or the great impact of that. But I think that there is some cases, and I would say some brands, right? Like what is your mission? What is there could be some kind of a cool factor. I think that could go, that would be not only from the customer service, but almost a marketing tool, right? That you're using with that as well. So I think there is some of that. Yeah. And David also says too, his agents hate it, when talking about video. I think, one of the things we talked about a long, long time ago in my center, and here, just trying to get this banner up here. So say, in my other life, it was probably say 2002, 2003, we talked about, when the internet and the .com bubble just kind of went. We weren't sure really this internet thing was going to happen, right? Nothing was in the cloud yet, but we were talking about, setting up studios where, people were going to have to do their hair and makeup. And we kind of laughed about it at the time. But I think there's some real merit to that. And, you and I, all of us, you guys who followed me, I'm huge, eventually 10 years in the metaverse, right? To have, our own avatars and our customer experience and our call centers, where you could just go, hey, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to go look at stuff. I'm going to go buy a dress in the metaverse. Then I'm going to go to my bank's customer experience and you're going to sit next to me with your glasses on and we're going to fix all your problems. Right. I think that stuff's coming, and that it almost like I'm not saying video is going to skip it, but I think there's maybe a short window for video until it kind of moves to something else. All right. Yeah. So getting back to the gig seasonality, harder staff shifts, call center spikes, retail, political, DRTV, right? All that short-term, high volume stuff, right? That is super hard for regular call centers, unless you're a teleperformance and you have, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 agents, right? That you could just, kind of swallow that up in a short term. Right. If you're like me and you're 500, that's very difficult to do on a short term when we got to hire 300 people for 2 months. Right. We probably can't do it. So I think that there is a place for that. Oh, and then the question that, is here every time, and that if I had the answer to, I would be a billionaire. But the best ways to fight attrition in the call center. So again, I think I probably need to go back and, put a couple of the episodes that we did from the podcast and put them into one and do a huge attrition contact center podcast. But I have obviously a ton of thoughts, just like all of you guys have here. I don't have all the answers on this. I wish I did, or I would have 100% attendance in my call center. But number one, I don't care what anybody wants to say. They can talk about the manager. They can talk about their hours that they're working. They can talk about the type of program that they're on. The number one thing is the rate of pay, right? So if you are paying your reps an amount that is conducive to what they're doing, and also probably above the means of the area that they're living, that's a huge impact. Number two, right? How you're engaging? Is the call center fun? Most call centers, you guys all stink at it, right? Not from running your call center, but from engaging and having fun in your contact center, right? And people don't realize, that's a cultural aspect thing. I get a lot of pushback on that too, and says, well, some of my reps don't like that. Well, for us, then that's a bad culture fit, right? Because I don't really want those type of individuals in my call center. I need people that want to interact, that want to have some fun, that I believe can endure kind of a customer experience personality, that they can go through some highs and lows of calls, right? That they're not just this kind of grumpy, kind of person that it kind of brings everybody else down. So again, for us, it's attitude and effort. So let me get back. So it's pay. Are you having fun in your call center? Number three, I would say, is there any way to advance in your contact center? Because if you just think that these guys are going to be stuck in this job forever, they're going to be gone in a year or two, right? But if you can show some progression, right? If you can show that they could become a supervisor, if you can show that they can go to HR, they can be in IT. The other thing is, especially your younger employees, ask them what they want to do. Like you might have some college kids that say, hey, I want to be an accountant. How do you help them become an accountant, right? This isn't just like how you help them stay on the phone more. But if you can show that you kind of care about the individuals, that you care about where they're going, you're paying them really well, you're trying to have fun with them, right? That's a really, really cool way to keep people. And again, not everybody's going to be a fit, right? But I think that there needs to be some progression, not only from a job standpoint, but even from their rate of pay, right? Where they can continue. Now, again, I'm a BPO, right? Giving people raises is I don't want to say it's very difficult, but my revenue for each client per hour is fixed, right? So no matter what, if I give raises, like my margin instantly goes. But at the same point, if my margin could be here all the time, but I keep losing people and I have to keep retraining and I can't bill for the training, right? I would rather have this be my margin, right, with people that are staying here and are killing it and doing a great job, then this be my margin and having to just constantly turn people. So I don't know. Are you investing in those guys? Are you investing in your people? Is that kind of the main focus of what you're doing? Most people will say yes, but when you actually go into their call center, it's no. So again, I'm not saying it's super easy, but I think people are more people than not fool themselves into thinking that the experience that they're giving the reps is good, when really it's a difficult experience. So I don't know. That's some of my thoughts. I have so many more thoughts on that, even from the way that we pay going on a streak. As long as you're here every single week, like I've talked about that. If not, go check out the podcast. It's awesome. It's kind of raised our attrition, or I would not say attrition, but our call off and our call outs or lowered them by about 33%. Right. So, that's my thoughts on that. Yeah. Then David, you're killing it. And that's not a joke. Right. And to be honest, you need to talk about that more in your content, because I don't know if it's lucky. I would say that you're doing something right. To have less than 10% employee turnover. And again, it's not like you got 10 reps. I would be posting some videos on that. I would be talking about it. I would be giving people some insights into what you're doing, because what you're doing it's something really, really impressive. And you should be proud of that. And it'd be cool if I'd love to know what you're doing. If there's anything that's unique or cool, or who you're hiring or how you're matching culture. I think, all those things kind of come into play. There's no magic pill here. It's a constant, I don't want to say battle, but it's making sure that you're covering so many different aspects of the employee journey, so to speak, that they stay. Ooh, good stuff, guys. Really, really, really good stuff. We had a little slow start. You guys made me ramble on about some topics. I was a little bit more prepared today because I figured that there wasn't going to be, but all of a sudden we got a nice barrage of Q&A. So again, I appreciate that. Hopefully that this is helping. And again, you guys know the cool thing about this is we'll cut these up and try to give them to everybody who wasn't here too. So they'll be posted for the next couple weeks as well, starting next week. So just another kind of cool way, hopefully that we can even kind of give you guys a little bit of screen time, but good questions. All right. Anything else here? I mean, we got about 10 more minutes. And may just wrap this up a little bit earlier with the 3:00 podcast so I can prepare for that last hour. But again, if you guys are on here and you get a little bit of time, check us out again at 3. I'll post the link again here, right when I get off. And I think it'll be kind of interesting. And again, but don't worry if you can't make it. It'll be the next podcast. It'll be at Tuesday, and you'll see the video as well. All right, last call for questions. Anything else, guys? All right. Well, hey, I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you guys so much. This is fun for me. I look forward to it every single Friday. So again, please tell your friends. If you got any value of this, I would ask you, please shoot this out on LinkedIn or Twitter. Let people know about this. I'd love to get this to the point where we could have 50 to 60 people and get a real conversation in here. So again, thank you guys. I love all you guys. And I will talk to you next week if I don't see you at 3.